All right, here we go. Welcome back to parabolas. Remember, there are 4 different orientations for a parabola, and if you don't already have this in your notes, it might be a good idea to jot this down now. If we have y equals x squared, our parabola is going to be opening upward. If we have y equals something negative x squared, parabola opens downward. If you have x equals y squared, our parabola will open to the right. And then the last possibility would be our parabola opening to the left, and that happens when x equals a negative y squared. Something else to remember is that a parabola is formed by a point called the focus going to that curve and then straight down to the directrix. And the relationship between the focus and the parabola and the directrix is c. C is somewhere in here. The parabola wraps around that value. And to find C, we take A and set it equal to 1 over 4C. So this is just like an algebraic conversion factor, but it's really important to remember if you want to make an accurate graph of your parabola. Let's take a look at some examples. First of all, let's write an equation of a parabola with a vertex at 4, 1 and a focus at 6, 1. Well, I personally can't do anything without a picture, so I'm going to start by making a rough sketch. So here's my coordinate plane. I'm going to go over 4. I'm going to go up 1. There's my vertex. And then I'm going to continue my graph over to 6, up 1. Now this is my focus. So I know that the parabola has to kind of wrap around that focus. So it's going to do something like that. This is the focus point. All right, well, what do I know for sure then? I know that this is going to be something, like this guy right here. So it's going to take on the form x equals something y squared, and that something will be positive. I don't need that check mark anymore. Now to figure out what this value is, this is the value a. And if I know that a is equal to 1 over 4c, I can take a look at the distance between the vertex and the focus. Well, that distance is 2 units, and so that's my c value. C is equal to 2. 4 times 2 is 8, rather, I don't know where that came from. A is going to be 1 over 8, 1 over 4 times 2. All right, ta-da, I did it. I wrote the equation of this parabola with a vertex at 4, 1 and a focus at 6, 1. All right, now let's take a look at another example. In this example, I'm going to give you an equation, and we are going to sketch the graph. So let's take a look at the equation y equals x squared minus 4x plus 8. All right, well, what we need to do is we need to put this into vertex form. And to put into vertex form, we're going to complete the square. To remember how to complete the square, just remember that when you're completing the square, you have this teeter-totter business where y equals your equation, and you're going to add a square, but then you also need to subtract a square so that you keep your equation balanced. So adding and subtracting will keep your equation balanced. Normally when we complete the square, we add a square to one side, and then we add that same square to the other side to keep our equation balanced. But when we're dealing with a function like y equals, we have to add and subtract on that same side to keep the teeter-totter balanced. Okay, so here we go. X squared minus 4x, and then I'm going to turn these x's into a perfect square trinomial. And then I'm just going to push the 8 off to the side for now. Notice that I added a square here, so I'm going to add a square over here. Now the question is, what is that square? Well, I take half of negative 4, and then I square that. Well, half of negative 4 would be negative 2, and negative 2 squared is going to be 4. Add 4 and subtract 4, and I'm going to maintain the integrity of the original problem that way. So now I have y is equal to x minus 2, quantity squared, plus 4. And then from here, I'm going to put this into more of a form like I have up there at the top. I have a y and an x squared. So to get this kind of into that, y equals something x squared form, I'm going to subtract 4. And then I'm just going to call this, actually I'm going to erase this business. I'm going to leave space for my a, and then push x minus 2 squared over here. So what is a? A is equal to 1. Now thinking about the shift rules, this would be a shift to the right too. and this would be a shift up 4. So if I set this equal to x, x would be equal to 2, and y is equal to 4. So that's going to be up, and this is going to be to the right. Think through your shift rules. We've done the shifts a million times. Now I just need to figure out where my focus is. So if I'm making a graph here, I'm going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go to the right 2. So here is my vertex. My focus is going to be somewhere above the vertex because I know that my parabola needs to wrap around that focus. But let's find the value of that, or the location of that focus. And so for that focus point, remember that 1 is going to be equal to 1 over 4 times c. So I don't know, how do you want to do this? Maybe cross multiply. Think of this as a proportion. 4c is equal to 1, therefore c is equal to 1/4. So my focus is going to be just up here, just a smidge, and actually the location of that focus is going to be over 2, up 4, and 1/4. So I just add that c distance to my vertex to come up with the focus. All right, I liked that problem. That was a good one. All right, last problem. Let's do another graph sketch here. So this time our equation is going to look like y squared minus 8y plus 8x equals 16. I have the y squared and I have an x. I think I'm going to start by getting x by itself. Again, I'm trying to kind of conform to one of these 4 forms at the top. And I think it would be best if I could get it down to like x equals y squared or x equals negative y squared. Let's see what we can do. Where do we begin? Let's start with 8x is equal to negative y squared plus 8y plus 16. So do you see what I did here? I moved this one over and I moved this one over, and when they hop over that equal sign, their signs change. Then I'm going to leave 8x alone for right now, and I'm going to factor out a negative. That gives me y squared plus 8y plus 16. Nope, 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 nope. When you factor out the negative, the signs change. Silly me, silly me. Okay, then I'm going to keep working inside of here. I've got y squared minus 8y. I'm going to add a square. And then I have this negative 16 just kind of hanging out, and I'm going to subtract a square. And then that closes that set of parentheses. So just to kind of exaggerate, I'm working inside that set of parentheses. I want to complete the square so that I can create a perfect square trinomial. All right, if you're starting to be like, what? Just go with me for right now, and then rewind and watch the video again. Okay, so I take half of negative 8, which would be negative 4, and I square that, and that's 16. So I add 16 and I subtract 16. Now I'm looking at y equals negative. This would be y squared minus 4, quantity squared, minus 32. And then again, where are these parentheses coming from? What is up with all these parentheses? There we go. And then don't forget I have 8x. So I'm just going to kind of drop him down. Okay, 8x is equal to negative y squared minus, no, this should not be a y squared. Oh me, oh my. How about y minus 4, quantity squared, and then distribute in the negative, and you are going to have yourself a positive 32. Okay, I'm trying to think about what am I going to do with this 8? What am I going to do with an 8? I know what I'm going to do with the 8. I'm going to divide everything by 8, divide by 8, divide by 8. All right, I don't know about you, but you're probably about out of room on that page. So I'm going to come over here. X is equal to negative 1/8. That's my a value. Y minus 4, quantity squared, plus 4. Again, kind of conforming to what I have along the top of my paper. This would look like x minus 4 is equal to a times y minus 4 quantity squared. Okay, I think of this as a shift to the right 4. I should think of this as a shift up 4, opposite of what you would think. You know, x would be equal to 4 if we thought of this as a 0. Y is equal to 4 if we think of this as a 0. So right and up. I'm going to go to the right 4. I'm going to go up 4. And then this is my vertex. Based on the general structure here, I know that my parabola is going to do something like this because I have x equals something negative y squared. I need to figure out the location of my focus. So where is this focus? Right here. Well, remember that your focus is going to be the distance between your vertex and that focus, or I should say the focus is a specific distance between your vertex and your focus, and that distance is c. So I have negative 1/8 is equal to 1 over 4c. This was a, 1 over 4c. What's the value of c? Well, I can just look at this and see that c would be negative 2. 1 over negative 8 equals 1 over negative 8. So c is negative 2. That means I need to pull this focus back 2 units, and that makes the location of my focus 2, 4. So to kind of point that out a little bit more clearly, this is C, which came from this business right here. All right, so that was kind of a crazy problem, but lots of good math there, some algebra, some analytic geometry really is what we're doing. So if you want to rewind and watch example 3 again, that would not be a waste of time. That would be a smart move on your part. Otherwise, let's call it a day and I'll see you tomorrow.